Well, I'm going to put this out as a warning for the mothers and fathers of children that if Hillary Clinton ever becomes president due to some political shenanigans, like it could be coming from an unexpected source. Maybe Trump is going to run on the third party, Jeb Bush will be the Republican, and then you'll have Hillary and they'll give her a good shot at the presidency. If she gets in, watch your kids because one of the things she was one of the ones on the initiative for Hillary Care before Obama got on the deal. That stuff is all about government control of your entire family. And I can tell you one thing. They can take away your kids today over the slightest bit of bunch of bullshit going. I mean, if you leave your kid outside an hour or something unintended, oh, not like in the old days. I mean, for crying out loud, maybe it was too extreme the other way in the old days. But the situation has never changed. Once the government takes control of your kids, the thing is that you are not going to see them treated well despite all the freaking propaganda. I know in the past, kids were treated horribly. They showed the orphanages back in the early 1900s, and I can tell you, I can relate some stories about that, family stories, and I'm going to get on to that. But today they actually do it through the harsh treatment, maybe more through not the same type of thing, but it could be also the same type of thing, but it can also be through the pharmaceutical drug industry because automatically, they're going to give everybody lithium, they're going to give them all kinds of garbage to screw their brains up, to make them into lethargic, zombies that obey their masters more or less, as you put it. And that is pretty much standard operating procedure even in the schools today because if you got a kid that's more intelligent and he's kind of like bored in class and he's a little hyperactivities, a little hyperactive, they automatically try to put him on drugs. Crazy shit like that. But if Hillary gets in office, say goodbye to your babies, man. I'm going to tell you that right now. The whole deal with Planned Parenthood, the thing where say save the children. Now, I do know there are parents that abuse children. Yes, there are certain things like that exist. But actually, when it comes to the institution abuses children more than anybody. And I'm actually going to relate to some stories about that because there's a lot of situations that have occurred. I know with other people's family, and I was doing some family lineage history, and I knew about my grandmother and my her brothers and sisters temporarily getting put in an orphanage because of a situation that happened. I can kind of go into. Now, it sure wasn't from her mother. Her mother was, I don't want to say her name, but this is my great grandmother. She was a gem and a half. Actually, all the stories that were told about her was untrue to the max. After I freaking dug into the thing, she was married to the guy that was the illegitimate son of the Duke. And that guy was an ambitious mofo, to tell you the truth, and probably not too easy to get away with. So she ran away. She couldn't freaking afford. She ran away with her kids. She couldn't afford to support them. They wound up temporarily in an orphanage, but one of them disappeared permanently. And actually, I found out. I don't know what happened to him. Eventually, I know they killed him, but it was a matter of when those kids were taken out of the orphanage, they were already being treated very harshly. As a matter of fact, the standard what they would give them, now these aren't the kids or anything like that, it's just a generic public image that for reuse of commercially. The kids were given actually for food, coffee, and they put bread and butter in the coffee, and that was their food. That's your meal for breakfast. Wonderful, huh? Actually, when they did this stuff, even in Florida, I've seen stories where the parents came home late from work because of a traffic delay, and the kids were locked out of the house, and they're outside playing basketball, and Florida nice and sunny and warm and shit, and they're playing basketball. Neighbor called the authorities on them. Kids disappeared in the system, and they were just given cereal to eat. They were like freaking feeling bad and all this kind of crap. I mean, even today it's a bunch of garbage what goes on. But under the guise of caring for the children, I'll guarantee you that Miss Hillary is going to screw these people up. And then the other thing is, if you really want to dig into like a lot of the conspiracies out there, a lot of these politicians and high-end people are into pedophilia. And your kids can disappear, and it's been many stories. You can look all over YouTube. You can look through the papers and stuff where daughters that disappeared in institutions, and they couldn't find them and things like that. And what happened to them? They wound up being put into prostitution or pedophilia rings. It's like really crazy. You almost think, I know some people say it's the alien thing too, but it's not the alien thing. It's a people thing. It's a people thing, and it's an evil people thing. The more government control, like the more you want to be protected, the more you want somebody over you to protect you, the more problems you actually open up. It's like it's more work to do to take care of the situation on your own, but the more you ask for help, the more you're asking for control of you and your family and your children. So I mean, yeah, it sounds like they try to bill it to you like or market it to you like, oh yeah, it's something we're going to do to help prevent these type of problems, and there's been this much problems in the families, and we got to have government intervention. I guarantee Hillary's going to pull this kind of crap. Now, actually, when I found out, and I just found this out, and it's almost like I wish I could reach into the past and kill some of these fuckers way back then. I tell you, man, it's freaking crazy. I knew about my great-grandfather being the illegitimate son of a duke, but then I figured out what the only possibility it could have been was Duke Albert Edward, the son of Victoria. Well, when he became Edward VII, the next two sons by my great-grandmother were both named Edward. One was born overseas, and one was born in the USA. That's how I know there was two Edwards, because one came physically here, and the other one didn't exist until, it's got all the records, the birth certificate, and Social Security, and all that kind of garbage, until some years later. Now, when they went into the orphanage, all those kids went into the orphanage, only one Edward came out. There was two Edwards. And I'm guaranteed that because it was a physical head count of the people that came over, and the other one wasn't here physically born until some years later. Actually, they had a different Edward name. One was the foreign version of the Edward, and one was the American, was the Edward. And named after Edward the Seventh, actually, because, well, I can't get into all the details on that because I don't want to reveal too much about that type of stuff. But the thing is, one of them actually disappeared. But you know what? I found his name with a very slight one-letter misspelling, which they did actually on the ship, which was the same misspelling. And since that name was a made-up name, it was easy to find for this reason. The name was a made-up name, last name that started with my great-grandfather because he was the illegitimate son of a duke. It's the only last name that starts that way. It's not my last name, but it's, it's my lineage. But I found it in on the orphanage listing in the area that they ran away to, and right in the in the general hospital, right in the same exact county. And he would have been, maybe 4 or 5 years old or something at the time. And when he was on that orphanage, he was on that listing in the general hospital with all these kids that don't know their fathers or mothers, where they're born, and where they came from. He was on that listing with all the other kids that were disappeared. Now, nothing after that, though. Nothing after that. I know he was killed by them, because it pisses me off, because now I actually found this out over 100 years later. But I've been noted as, I've been noted in accounting as being one of the best. I can tell you that right now, even though I'm not a CPA. I eat CPAs for freaking lunch. Believe me. I eat them for lunch. And spit them out. I do. I'm whether I talk plain or not, I got this laser sharp focus of a pit bull that gets on something, and I got the brain power, the mathematical background to do the job. I find the data and I dig in there and I get it. But this lady, I can tell you one thing: she's the witch from hell, Hillary Clinton. She gets in the freaking office. Not only is she going to freaking screw life up for your kids at one point in time, because it could be going along la-di-da-di-da, really good for years. Then all of a sudden, one little hiccup happens where, say, for instance, like that example where those parents came back and they had to leave the house locked, and they usually almost always got back from work before the kids got back from school to open up the house. Well, their kids were outside playing basketball out in the sun, and freaking neighbors called on them like a bunch of rat finks, and they just hauled them away. It could be anything, It could be an argument. It could be anything. There's people that actually get screwed up because, the daughter has an argument with the mother, and then the mother gets in trouble. And that's the type of stuff that's going to be coming out from this Hillary. And she's going to also do the same kind of crap with the elderly people. Well, she freaking makes $500,000 to make a 20-minute speech, right? And her daughter is like, walks on freaking air and shit. Now, I can tell you one thing. This lady is like, she's a privileged white bitch, from the upper middle class and went to school, learned how to be a communist. Basically that's what happened. She got turned into a communist when she went to college. Should have never sent her to college. But the thing is, she's got absolutely no freaking, what actually had the lineage that actually had to hook up was Bill. Because if I have that correct, Bill Clinton Bill Clinton would be my sort of cousin in a way. Hey, Billy. Hey, but, he would be if that's true about him coming from Winston Churchill, and Churchill came from Edward. Yeah, anyway, so. But, it's like, I could tell you one thing, man. Once the government gets involved in something, hang it up, man. Hang it up. Hang it up. There's no freaking sympathy. There's no ties. Like for instance, when I saw that stuff about, DeWan, he disappeared, which would have been my, I don't know, great grand nephew or something like that, or guess or something. It pissed me off, to tell you the truth, when I figured that out. I says, holy shit, I wish I could reach back in time and find out exactly what the freaking happened and take vengeance on a piece of shit that must have killed him, because, he had a unique name. There was absolutely no name out there like that, and he didn't live past, he didn't make it to 18, I know that. He didn't make it to 18. So... But that's the kind of stuff that's, and what happens? What happens? They all get shoveled off to the side because, once you disappear into the system, it's like, forget about it. And, there's been a lot of pedophilia rings been tied to, a lot of these things where they're supposedly taking care of, the lost children and stuff. The government's taking care of it. And, yeah, I mean, it's not like all the cops are involved in it, but there are some higher echelon ones that are. And, it's going on today left and right. Despite families being screwed up, it's almost like, the family could be inner problems, and there could be abuse or something like that, even from certain people. It could be the mother or the father, right? Don't matter. But the thing is, when there's an outside attack, usually the family sticks together. And, that's one thing you can almost count on, that's one thing you can almost count on. But when you're dealing with the government doesn't give a shit. That's just the nature of it. Because what happens is they employ all these people, and they give them like this lofty title, and they freaking give them this big freaking book of rules and shit like that. And then they just all goes to their freaking head, and you get these. It doesn't even matter if they have education or not, but it just goes to their head. And even there might be some good people, but then again, they got no like real strong ties to anybody. Not at all. You're just a name. You're just a number. And so once they pull these people out of, this was my great-great-grandmother. Now, she was a gem and a half, man. I mean, that situation actually, I realized what happened, man. It was like, well, I realized also that the guy she married was too much of a hard ass into money and shit like that, and he probably all got it from, where he's born from, and if that actually is true, that Nathan Lionel Rothschild fathered King Edward VII, well, that means he would have been the grandson of Nathan Lionel Rothschild. And I know they didn't give him no money. He got it all on his own. I don't know how he did it, but he was a hard ass and a half. But, the thing is, if you start getting a situation where, the government takes over all the stuff about health care, the government takes care of all the stuff about child care, the government gets involved in everything that's in a family. They don't care, man. They don't, this lady is going to con you. I don't know how people are being conned by her. A lot of people aren't. Some people realize that, Hillary Clinton turns their stomach. I realize what she's about, but to me, I look at it like, lady, ain't nothing you're gonna be able to do about it. That's to me, it ain't gonna affect me really. I'm actually putting this out for other people. It ain't gonna affect me. I don't have any kids. It ain't gonna bother me none. You do what the hell you want. The stupid people want to actually, put this lady in office or some shit. This one, hopefully she doesn't get on the primary, but I think I think the fix is in with her big time, because that's what the elite want. They want total control over the population, and they got their minion to do the job right here. So I'm going to tell you, if you're freaking this lady gets in office, you can count on your kids disappearing, man. And it's happened. I mean, it's happened. This happens today. It happened in the past. And I just found something out of my family. I says, "Holy shit!" I mean, that pissed me off because I'll tell you what. If they ever freaking do it, well, I don't put up with that shit, man. I don't come in here. I'll forget it. I don't even say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing else beyond that. I'm gonna say nothing else beyond that. I ain't gonna mess with nothing, man. None of that shit. But they always treated kids like shit in these government institutions. And they do today. They might have more material things today, but then they got all the drugs they freaking give them, right? Or they freaking disappear out to, I don't know. I mean, even when you get these kids go in these government institutions, they get lost. You're like, how the freaking did you get lost? There's so many freaking times they just get lost. Oh, they get lost. Oh, they just wandered off. They didn't wander off. Some pedophile got them. That's what happened. And you know where a lot of those are? They're high up in the government too, all over the place, man. So Hillary, and that daughter, man. I mean, that Chelsea from Webb Hubble. I mean, first off, Bill Clinton had the cards. He had the cards because he's got some. He probably does. It's probably not legit. It's probably not a rumor. He's got some royal blood or something from the Nathan Lionel Rothschild line, like me. And but Hillary don't. And since Chelsea came from Webb Hubble, she don't have it either. So I tell you, man, time to freaking boot out the commoners, man. We don't need no commoners in there, man. We need some. We need a fair and square royal type guy like me, man. We don't need no commoner like freaking Hillary. We need a fair and square royal guy, fair and square lineage from Lionel Rothschild to make the Rothschilds look good once in a while. Besides freaking sailing out there in a plastic bottle boat, need a guy like me with some lineage that's from Nathan Rothschild and also from the Sons of the American Revolution and a Confederate. But I can tell you, man. You watch this lady, man. I know you probably listen to this video if you've never heard of one of my videos. I didn't know all this lineage shit. I was like, more I'm freaking digging into it. But I got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, man. It's wild, man. I was like, whoa, baby. You freaking search. I didn't even search. I was just searching back direct. I wasn't going out all different directions. I was just going out, father to father to father. I was doing like stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, I don't want to mention her name, but I consider this lady a saint with all the kids. She had a lot of kids, and nobody'd be here if it wasn't for her. So that's another thing I always want to bring up in the end here. All these women are like, I'm not going to have babies. That's a freaking baby maker. I'm not going to. You know what? This lady did more than Hillary Clinton ever could. She gave life. She gave life. It's hard. It's not easy to do. And she taught her kids, and every one of her kids survived. Except for the one she had no power over, which would have been the husband would have been the one that had to get him out of there, and he just, I don't know exactly what happened because it was 100 years ago, but I know what happened where he was about several years after he disappeared. And, it made me think about how this situation is going to happen in the future now if we get Hillary in office. Oh, boy. Government. You don't want government sticking their nose in family, period. Nah. No way. I mean, there's always problems in a family, but, the government always seems to create more problems. And it's like nothing's a perfect situation, nothing's a utopia. But, if you give up all your power to the government, that they're going to take care of it, they're going to screw you. And your kids are not going to be yours. I'm going to tell you one thing, man. I know one thing, man. That would piss me the hell off because maybe I got some of that Italian family shit in me. It's like, I think anybody's got that. I mean, you could be from Germany, France, North Egypt, whatever. Ireland, Russia, China. Hey, you don't like nobody messing with your family. You know what I mean? Hey, that's the way it goes around. And the only way they're gonna be able to mess with your family is if they take the power away from you to defend your family. That's all goes hand in hand with these communist rats in the Democratic Party are doing, and the cook conservatives. I call them cook. Like they're cuckolds, like Jeb Bush and Boehner, whatever his damn name is, and that other yo-yo Mitch McConnell, and the Republican yo-yos. They're all a bunch of yo-yos, man. The hell with them. I don't know what to do about all this shit, man. It's like, God, man, I'd rather, if you have a woman in charge of the freaking government, I'd rather have a hooker with a heart of gold. To tell you the truth, man, not Hillary. A hooker with a heart of gold that likes kids and likes men. Nobody like Hillary. No way in hell. So, and I also talked about that before because it's like, I don't know. All this modern shit is a bunch of propaganda, man. And old girl Hillary, man, she's on it. She's on it like the power trip is like a drug. I always said she ought to just go get herself a motorcycle, go join Dykes on Bikes, and go have a lot of fun, take a lot of freaking vitamins, and live out your days with the ladies. Skip the politics. Skip the politics. We don't need you. Goodbye. See you. Retire. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just warning you, man, because I fear this bitch is going to be in, and you're going to see darkness. Darkness is going to descend over the United States when a wicked witch from Arkansas, New York, whatever else she's from, becomes president. I hope she don't. Anyway, over now.